Welcome into our Winter Solstice Restorative Yoga sequence. I'm Caren, and what better way to welcome deep rest and rejuvenation on the longest, darkest night of the year than with restorative yoga? So get yourself near a chair or a couch to start, and bring along 3 blankets, a yoga bolster, or a firm pillow if you don't have a yoga bolster, and something to cover your eyes with. We'll start with some gentle movement, and then we'll rest in stillness. So let's begin in cow and cat pose on the mat, with your hands right underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. Spread your fingers wide, and then lightly tuck your toes under, but then relax the feet completely. Empty your air and push yourself upward through the spine into cat pose. Then find your inhale, and very slowly from the tailbone to the crown, start to lower through the belly, then the chest, and finally the head comes up last. Exhale, let the head go. Arch through the upper back, middle back, lower back. Feel the tailbone tilting under. As you inhale, slow down the movement and slow down the breath, as if you could move each vertebra individually from bottom to top, and then from top to bottom. Maybe the eyes can close here if that feels comfortable, so you can tune into this sensation within yourself. There's no right or wrong way to practice here. We're just encouraging our senses to move inward, to get to know what it feels like in the deepest parts of our body. Sometimes that means that this practice could bring up emotion. So that's okay. Know that this is a safe space, a private space just for you, to let it go, to release, to welcome it in, whatever you need to do with this time on your mat. As you empty your air and slowly make your way into cat pose, we'll end there, dropping the belly back to neutral. Widen your knees, relax your toes, let the big toes come toward one another, and then sink yourself back toward child's pose. This is without props, with the forehead coming down and the arms extended in front of you. Now take your right arm in and slide it through underneath the left. If it's comfortable here, you can again reach back down toward the floor. The head does not need to touch, it could. Finding a gentle opening in the right side here, the right shoulder and arm. Letting the fingers be loose on both hands. And cultivating that sense of smooth, slow breath that we did in cow and cat. Let's inhale and lift the arm back through and forward. The forehead can again come down if you like. On the exhale, slide your left hand in and through, underneath the right. To a comfortable space, maybe the forehead comes all the way down, maybe you stay lifted, just reaching gently through the arms. Finding smooth breath in the belly, the ribs, the lungs. If you have any tension that's collecting in the face and the jaw, or even the calves, the hips, invite that to soften with your next exhale. So lift up through the chest, sliding the arm forward. Once more into child's pose. Again, the forehead could touch if you like. And then inhale, lift up through the hips. Have a seat on the heels for a moment if that's comfortable. You can also pad underneath your hips with a blanket by sitting in between the legs here, separating the feet, placing the blanket there. The knees do not have to touch. You can separate those as well. And then take the arms straight in front of you. We'll move into eagle arms. So the right arm comes underneath the left, and then either hold on to your shoulders here or let the arms reach up. You can hold on to the hands, the palms if that's comfortable. The backs of the hands might touch. Just get a firm grip somewhere at the elbow region. And then 3 times with slow breath. Inhale, lift up through the elbows, looking up toward the hands. Exhale, the elbows dive down, gazing in toward the heart. As you move slowly with your own pace of breath, feel your attention gliding ever inward. You chose this time for yourself, so allow yourself to be all in. The next time that you lift up through the arms, we'll exhale and release. A little shoulder roll up, back, and down. Continue to stay in this seat if it's comfortable. Make any adjustments if you need, and then take your arms in front again. This time the left arm will come underneath the right. Hands can come to shoulders. Hands can come in front. 3 times. Inhale, lifting up from the armpits, from the elbows, looking up. Exhale, curling down and in through the upper body, feeling the navel tug in last. And as you continue, consider how precious this gift is that we are given, a moment in time in nature to recognize that it's okay to rest in darkness, that it's the natural cycle of things. In our culture and in our lives, we often get stuck in the trap of having to be in the light all the time. And that's just not realistic or sustainable for ourselves. As your arms come up, release. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And let's make our way to the chair. So if you have a chair or a couch, bringing yourself there. And for me, I know with this yoga chair, I need more padding underneath my knees. So I'll take the stack of my 3 blankets on top. You can also place a blanket at the back of your head on the floor, especially if your chin tends to lift up. You want your chin level with your forehead. So sitting next to the chair or the couch with the feet off to the side, just swing the legs up. Hook the backs of the knees onto the support. And here is where, when you lie down, you'll want to make sure, as best you can, that your knees are stacked right over top of your hip creases, your hips, and the full length of your legs are supported. Taking the head and the shoulders down and the arms to a V with the palms up. Again, if you notice that your chin is tilted way up toward the ceiling, please place a thin blanket or a light pillow underneath the head. You're also welcome to place your eye covering here over your eyes. Make any last adjustments so that you notice your kneecaps are facing straight up toward the ceiling. The legs feel effortlessly held upward. The whole spine can relax with gravity toward the floor. And you'll stay warm as you rest in stillness. If you're not using an eye covering, simply close the eyes now. Take a few fuller breaths in and out to really settle. So as you inhale, feel the navel lift, the backs of the lungs press against the floor. Maybe exhaling out the mouth with a soft sigh or just through the nose, a slow, long, prolonged exhale. Do this twice more at your own pace. And as you begin to settle in, welcome the soft darkness behind closed eyes. Welcome this ritual of rest, knowing that there's nothing you need to make happen here, nothing you need to control or manage. What a relief just to be for a few moments. It's all right if the mind gets busy here, it naturally will. Invite yourself back to feeling this body at rest whenever you get a bit distracted. We'll spend some time in silence now, and I'll let you know when it's time to return. Take a slow breath in. Allow the breath to wash effortlessly out the body. Finding gentle movement into the fingers and the toes. We'll transition out by bringing one knee in toward your chest at a time, taking your hands upward to hold around the shins or the knees as the feet slide toward you off the chair. And then choose a side to roll onto. Let your legs drop to that side. And keep going with your roll, push into your palms and just gently lift upright. Finding a comfortable seat, letting the legs maybe extend long in front of you, feeling their contact back with the floor. We'll move the chair off of the mat and enter into supported child's pose. So taking your blanket stack with you and bringing your bolster here onto your mat. Take that lengthwise up the middle of the mat. open up one of your blankets and create a fold that's the same size as the bolster that you're using. This is a rectangle fold blanket. And if you're unfamiliar with folds and such, you can find more information in my restorative yoga book. We'll use another blanket to keep warm, to place that on top of our hips, and then there's another option to place a blanket underneath your knees here for some extra warmth. So for that, you'll open up the blanket even wider and take that blanket here across the mat. You can then take the edge of the blanket and roll it up, place it underneath your ankles if you need an extra lift for your ankles. Bring the bolster in front of you, find your way to your other blanket and open it up as much as you need so that you can hook it around your hips and tuck it into the creases of your thighs. I'll keep mine small so you can see the shape, but feel free to open that blanket up even more. Then just simply snuggle your way down. Rest your chest and a cheek to the bolster. As the arms come forward with the palms down, the elbows are soft and held by the floor. Making any adjustments that you need here so that you feel your hips and your heart are in a line. So if you notice that your heart is lower than your hips, build up the props underneath you on top of the bolster. Now going right into the stillness of this pose. Allow the eyes to close. You can expand a more full breath into the whole back body if you like, feeling the muscles tense at the top of that breath. And then as you exhale, relaxing all muscular tension, feeling everything get heavier toward the floor. Welcoming rest and rejuvenation as you simply stay here in silence for some time. Coming out of supported child's pose, let's first lift through the head and chin toward the floor. Press lightly into your palms and start to lift your heart. And as you rise upward, just letting the blanket fall from behind you. Take your palms to the floor, walk your knees back. And like cat-cow, but this time we're going to extend one leg back at a time. So just finding your way on your mat with your existing props so that you can extend one leg back long, tuck the toes under, and let all of those muscles hug into the bone. Feel that flush of energy through the knee and do the same thing to the other side, waking up the legs. Once both legs feel alert, let's come down to have a little seat so we can set up for basic relaxation pose. This is our final resting position. So take your bolster widthwise across the mat and remove any blankets, props you had on top. We'll form a rolled blanket, a long rolled blanket. So opening a blanket up to about the width of your mat, take the long side and roll it up. And then place that blanket roll at the very edge of your mat, close to your bolster. I'm going to use another blanket for my head here. So I folded this pretty thickly into this square fold shape, and that's going to go at the other side of the mat. And as for the blanket that was on the ground, I'm going to use this for the top of my body. You can bring your eye pillow here close to the blanket for your head, and sitting with your legs reaching over top of the rolled blanket at your ankles, the bolster at your knees, upper thighs, taking the other blanket over top of your whole body here. I'll just keep it over my abdomen so you can see the rest of my body in this shape, but I recommend staying really warm and cozy. Lower yourself down and make any adjustments that you need for the blanket at your head. Eye covering comes over the eyes now, and the arms go up, face up with the palms, arms in a V. As you're lying here, or simply closing the eyes if you're not using the eye covering, notice how the low back feels. If there's any ache or tension, then raise the bolster height underneath your knees. Let the whole body feel effortless, at peace, with no distractions here in the physical self. Feel yourself nesting into this restorative yoga position, like an animal would nest into the earth, burrowing and hibernating for the winter. It's a safe space. It's a place to not have to do, but just be. You might choose to welcome any intention into your heart, whether that's just to embody deep rest and healing, or anything else you're working with, any sankalpa you could plant like a seed into this practice. We'll have time here to rest now in silence, enjoying this moment, just letting yourself be. Find a smoother breath in, a longer breath in, and out. And use that energy of breath to move into the body through the fingers and the toes. Any movements you'd like to make to awaken, any ways of stretching the body that feel good for you, go there now. Just taking your time. Eventually, bring your knees in, feet on the bolster. Roll over onto your side. And as you're pressing yourself up to a seat now, keeping the eyes closed, letting props fall as they will or setting them off to the side, notice how you feel. Notice what is present in your body and in your mind. In your heart. Take your palms together in front of the chest with a slight bow in of the chin, an acknowledgement of all the realized beings who have brought the practices of yoga to us, and an acknowledgement of our own connectedness to nature, all that is within ourselves. As you release the hands and begin to open the eyes and welcome yourself back into the space, take this sense of deep rest and deep peace with you well beyond the winter solstice. It's always within if we slow down enough to seek it. Thanks so much for practicing with me. As always, what a pleasure. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video or a new practice when it comes out. You can visit my website, Baginski.com, for even more restorative yoga and yoga therapy practices like this. You can come join live classes in Held, my spiritual community for those who identify as feminine. More information about that here or below. Hope to see you again soon.